October 26th, 1881. The OK Corral shootout leaves 3 dead from a feud between the Earps, the McLowrys, and the Clantons. A struggle for power in a small silver mining frontier town in Arizona turns bloody and would leave nearly 10 dead by the end. Wyatt Earp proclaimed the hero, but not till years later. But was he really the hero in this story? Wyatt Earp was born in Mammoth, Illinois, March 19, 1848, the year the California gold rush officially started. He was born to parents Virginia Ann and Nicholas Earp, and according to Silva, was caught by them at an early age bullying their neighbors with his brother Virgil. It was this fight inside Wyatt that would get his name down in history. Wyatt had 4 brothers, James, Warren, Virgil, and Morgan, and 1 sister, Adelia. The Earps moved via wagon trail to San Bernardino County in 1862, and from there, Wyatt would go on to have 9 different residences in 5 states by the time he was 30. What fascinates most about the cowboy legends of the Old West is the wild and woolly lifestyle they experience day to day. I started my research of Wyatt with his autobiography, Frontier Marshal, written in collaboration with Stuart Lake in his last years. However, I was quickly suspicious after hearing quotes from Wyatt such as 300 arrests every 30 days, and gunplay was an hourly occurrence. Through further research, I found a multitude of different mediums telling Wyatt's stories. It wasn't until I came across Lee Silva's book, Wyatt Earp, Biography of a Legend, did I start to realize that this American legend was mostly a creation forged by convincing storytellers. The movie, Frontier Marshal, was released that same year as Stuart Lake's autobiography, starring Randolph Scott. The popularity of Western tales grew fast with the emergence of the tall, dark, and handsome actors Randolph Scott, Gary Cooper, and John Wayne. Since their time, hundreds of cowboy movies portraying these gunslinging, take-no-nonsense cowboy types erroneously romanticized life in the 1800s. Everything down to the buscadero, or leather gun holster worn by Hugh O'Brien in The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp in 1951, which shows him holding 2 6-guns hanging below his hip, but it's nothing more than a fancy Hollywood fabrication. According to Ramon Adams, the book, The Old-Time Cowhand, cowboys of the Old West never carried more than 1 gun, because there wasn't a need for more than one. According to Silva, the biggest issue with the history of Wyatt is that there is little documentation besides his recollections years later in Frontier Marshal to back up the facts. In fact, most documentation comes from biographies of others in his life, such as Adolph Gluck, the Jewish mayor of Dodge City, who describes Wyatt's time as part of their team very brief. In fact, records show that Wyatt was only a lawman for about 10 years in his life and spent most of it searching in mines, hopefully leading to a quick buck. He was without a doubt an interesting man, an entrepreneur of his time, doing everything from a saloon owner, saloon keeper, mine owner, gambling casino owner, and even a referee for prize fights. He married 3 times in his life, to Urilla Sutherland, Mattie Blaylock, and Josephine Marcus, whom he spent most of his days with. Regardless of his achievements, he died January 13, 1929, so impoverished that pallbearers paid for his funeral and cremation. It's this man, the one dying with nearly nothing, that interests me most. How can a man who's so well known for his achievements as a lawman be left with nothing? A contract between Stuart Lake and Josephine would pay royalties on the first printing of Frontier Marshal, but nothing on movies or anything after that. Josephine wrote her own memoirs but couldn't get them published. It finally resurfaced in 1998 as Wyatt's Woman. The fact remains that most were using Wyatt Earp's story to try to leave behind their own personal legends by retelling the story. There were shootouts. That part was true. But the manner in which Wyatt dresses up his stories leaves one to believe that there may be a few more sides to the stories he claims. These men weren't gunmen, nor were they dexterous with a revolver. When things got out of hand, someone had to step up and be the law. But most sought after the percentages and only engaged in his weapon when the odds were on his side. Wyatt died at the beginning of a new age of storytelling and saw a way to stamp his name in the pages of American history. But with the wild inconsistencies from one story to the next, I guess we'll never know who Wyatt Barry Stapp Earp really was.